All right, let's talk about something that's happening all around us, and even inside us, every single second of every day. An invisible war. For anyone who's going into healthcare, understanding this battleground, it's pretty much the most critical first step you can take to keep your patients safe. So let's dive right in.
So here's the big question, right? We are literally swimming in a sea of microbes. They're on our skin, in the air we breathe, on every surface. And we know some of them are bad news, so why aren't we just sick all the time? The answer to that puzzle is all about this really complex, kind of delicate truce our bodies have with this invisible world.
Okay, so to get a handle on this, we've got to meet the players in this invisible world. And just like in any good story, you've got your friends and you've got your foes.
First things first, what even is a microbe? Well, a microbe, or a microorganism, is really just a super tiny living thing. And here's the most important thing to get right away. Most of them are not the bad guys. In fact, a lot of them are absolutely essential for us to live. Think about the microbes in your gut. We couldn't get the vitamins we need from our food without them.
So you can basically think of it like two main teams. On one side, you have what's called normal flora. These are the good guys, right? The resident microbes that are supposed to be there, helping our bodies run smoothly. And on the other side, you've got the pathogens. These are the troublemakers, the invaders that cause illness.
But, and this is a big but, it's not always so black and white. Some microbes are what we call opportunistic. This means they aren't strictly good or bad. It's all about location, location, location. The perfect example is E. coli. In your large intestine, totally normal, part of the team. But if that same E. coli gets into your bladder, it becomes a pathogen and causes a really nasty infection. So context is everything.
All right, so we've got a handle on the good guys and the bad guys. Now, let's get a rap sheet on the most common invaders you're going to run into in a healthcare setting.
Kicking things off, we've got bacteria. Now, these are single-celled organisms, and you really need to know about them because they are the #1 cause of infection in healthcare, for sure.
And bacteria are incredibly diverse. Some need oxygen to live, just like us. We call those aerobic. Others, well, oxygen is actually toxic to them. Those are anaerobic. But the one thing most of the bad ones love? A warm, moist, dark environment. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's basically a description of the human body. It's no wonder they cause so many common things like strep throat, pneumonia, and all sorts of infections.
Next up, the virus. Viruses are way smaller than bacteria. You can kind of think of them as tiny little hijackers. They're just these little packets of genetic material that can't do anything on their own. They have to invade one of our cells and take over its machinery to make more of themselves.
And oh, you have definitely met a virus before. They're the culprits behind everything from the common cold and the flu to much more serious diseases like COVID-19 and hepatitis.
All right, next on our list, fungi. Now, these are plant-like organisms, and they come in all shapes and sizes, from tiny little microscopic yeasts all the way up to things we can actually see, like mushrooms.
Now, when fungi decide to cause trouble, they're responsible for some pretty familiar stuff, a lot of it on the skin. Think about things like athlete's foot, or ringworm, or thrush. Yep, those are all caused by different types of fungi that found a nice, cozy place to set up shop on the body. And our final invader profile is for parasites. Just like the name sounds, these are organisms that live in or on a host, and they use that host for food and for protection. And believe it or not, you see them pretty frequently in healthcare.
Yeah, these unwelcome guests can be external, like lice and scabies, which, spread through physical contact. Or they can be internal, like pinworms and tapeworms, which usually get in when someone accidentally ingests their eggs.
Okay, so we've met the villains. So how does our body, this incredible fortress, fight back? Well, let's talk about the amazing defense mechanism we all have, the immune system.
Our immune system is basically the super sophisticated army with two main strategies. First, it has non-specific defenses. These are like the general foot soldiers, protecting us from any and all invaders. And then it has specific defenses. Think of these as the elite special forces, trained to take out one particular enemy.
So let's look at that first line of defense. It all starts with a physical wall, your skin. If an invader manages to breach that wall, your mucus tries to trap and destroy it. If that doesn't work, the body sounds the alarm.
It sends more blood flow to the area, which, by the way, is why an infection gets red and swollen. And that extra blood brings in the cavalry, the white blood cells that show up to destroy the pathogens.
But what happens when you need the special forces? That's where your specific defense comes in. The body creates these amazing little proteins called antibodies. And get this, each antibody is custom designed to hunt down and fight one specific microbe. This is how we build immunity. Once you've had something like chickenpox or you've gotten a vaccine, your body keeps those specific antibodies on file, ready to go instantly if that same bad guy ever dares to show its face again.
Now, for most of human history, our immune system was all we had. But then, a revolution happened. Antibiotics. This was a powerful new weapon in our arsenal, but as it turns out, it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
So, an antibiotic is a medicine that either kills bacteria or just stops them from growing. The discovery of drugs like penicillin, it was a flat-out game changer. I mean, it turned infections that were once a death sentence into something totally treatable. It saved millions upon millions of lives.
But there was a catch, a huge one. Right from the beginning, we were warned that if we misused these miracle drugs, there could be terrible consequences. Things like overprescribing them or patients not finishing their full prescription. Well, that gives the bacteria a chance to adapt, to survive, and to become stronger.
And that has led us directly to a massive crisis we're facing in healthcare today, the rise of what we call multi-drug-resistant organisms, or MDROs. You might know them by their other name, superbugs.
So how does this actually work? Well, imagine you've got a bunch of bacteria, and just by chance, a few of them are naturally resistant to an antibiotic. Now, you take that antibiotic. It does its job and wipes out all the non-resistant bacteria, the good guys and the bad guys. But guess who's left? The tough, resistant ones. And now, with no competition, they are free to multiply and take over. Even worse, they can actually pass their resistance genes on to other bacteria.
In the healthcare world, you're going to hear about two of these superbugs all the time, MRSA and VRE. MRSA, that's usually found on the skin and it spreads by touch. VRE lives in the digestive tract and can spread through contact with feces. What makes them so incredibly dangerous in a hospital or a care facility is that your patients are often already weak or sick. They're at high risk, and these things can spread like wildfire.
So, this all leads us to one final, really critical question. In a world where some of our best medicines are starting to fail us, what becomes our last line of defense? The answer? It isn't some new miracle drug. It's knowledge. It's paying attention. It's following the proper procedures every single time. The answer is you.